how you can access records online. And with that, I'll turn the program over to Amy, who has a case study in how she used the records to find an old home place.
I'm Amy Carter, and I'm relatively new to research and genealogy. But back in 2020, I was helping my mom clean out a closet. And in that closet, we were pulling my mom's closet for stuff. I don't know if your mom's closet for stuff too. In my mom's closet was this box, and I folded it up. I didn't want to throw it away. Y'all remember B.C. Morris and Sons? Okay, it was a shoebox. Okay. These boxes, whoever knows what this is, I don't know what this was. But these boxes were full of letters, papers, tax receipts, bank statements, flats, all kinds of different things. Okay? And so I asked my mom, I said, Mom, she said, these are Granny. I said, so my granny, her maiden name was a Campbell. She was Emma Campbell. Okay? And Granny, I knew both her parents growing up. One died when I was 6, and the other one died when I was about 10. Now, she had a few pictures, and I would ask her questions about her mom, my Granny Kim. But I never asked her too much about my grandpa Kim. People. So in this picture that you're going to see, this is my Grandpa Campbell's daddy. So this is my great-great-grandfather. His name is Daniel A. Campbell. He lived from 1842 to 1933. I had never seen a picture of him until about 4.5, 5 years. So, what do I know about him? What I learned about him before this, in this research, was that he was a Civil War veteran. He fought for 4 years. And he looks like he has a lot of hair if you look at his hair. But the president of the city was his right here was missing from the list. And when he got home from the war, he kind of stepped by the fireplace and went back in for a long time. Okay. So he ended up in this box is what they'll be showing the name. Okay. So this is a piece of paper, because I got to see it. When I first looked at it, I mean, this box was crammed full of stuff. When I first looked at that piece of paper, I glanced at it, but I was kind of so overwhelmed. For those of you here, this is the actual piece of paper. And it says at the top, statement of state of D.A. Campbell, deceased, Ruby, South Carolina, August 15, 1934. And the only thing that caught my eye was what Doug has circled. It says sale of old home place over Black Creek. Now, for those of you who are local to the area, you know that 145 runs from McNeese to Rocky. Okay, so if you go to McNeese, you're going to go over to Black Creek. On 145, there are 2 Campbell cemeteries. I didn't know for the longest time that there wasn't even a Campbell cemetery on 145 going toward McNeese. Until recently. And you can see it if you go to Woody. There's Campbell Cemetery and we've gone out there. Lo and behold, there's all my Daniel Campbell's brothers, sisters, his daddy, his mom. That's good. Isn't that neat? Yes. Didn't know all that. All right, so this map is an 1825 map of Robert Mills. I don't know if y'all have ever seen it or not. We have a copy of it here. I'll pull out just a little bit.
I think it's a widely distributed map.
It is. It's huge. But it it, you will see that Doug has highlighted the name Campbell. Campbell, and even there's another Campbell, if you look over to the right-hand side, you'll see Chesterfield. Okay, Chesterfield, South Lincoln, South. Okay, and you'll see Campbell again, and you'll see Sugarloaf Mountain. The Campbells were everywhere. Well, when I saw this mountain, like, okay, where is it? Where is it? So I had a couple of clues. I thought, okay, so it's gotta be off 145, right? It's gotta be off 145. Where is that old home place? Now, because I knew that where my granny and grandpa Campbell lived, and they lived in Ruby, that was belonged to my granny, and it was not his. So we went to the Register of Deeds. Okay. So at the Register of Deeds, and this is, if you go to the courthouse, it's not the main building, it's the building beside. So if you look at it, that's where it is. And this is where we got our help from.
Yeah, I think it's called the administrative building, with all
Yeah.
the taxes and this and that, the other, and, but it's, right inside the front door.
So we go in and they have three really nice ladies. There's Betty Williams, and there's Becky, I cannot remember Becky's last name, and there's Sarah. And, they were, Sarah, all of them were very willing to help, but, Sarah, we came to Sarah with a problem. And said, okay, Sarah, I know this is my granddaddy, and I know when he died, and I want to know where this place is. Now, let me just go ahead and tell you something. When we went to Sarah today, she was like, oh my goodness. Because there's a couple things that can happen. You can die with a will, and if you have made a will, you list to what? An executor, right? Or you can die without a will, and then your family members, okay? So she was like, oh, we'll have to find all the children and that kind of thing. Well, fortunately for me, and I didn't really realize, and I could have found this on this piece of paper that I showed you, but in the course of this whole thing, I knew that my granddaddy, D.A. Campbell, had an executor. He had a will. How did I know that? Well, if you've never been, I would encourage you to go to the South, well, you can find it online, but it's more impressive in person. Go to the South Carolina Archive. So a few years ago, Russ and I went to the South Carolina Archive, and I was researching something else. I couldn't find what I wanted to find, so I don't know if y'all do bird trail, so I happened to put in Daniel Campbell's name. And guess what? They had his actual will. And so when I got his actual will, and what they'll do at the archive is they'll go out to their storage room, and they will bring you the copy, and you can sit there and you can read it, and then you can ask them to print it for you, and they will, and you pay them, and they send it to you. So that's what it is. So I didn't get all of it printed out, but I got a lot of it printed out. So I found out from that he had an executive, and his executor's name was L.S. Gray. Now, what caught my eye on this original paper, if you'll go back to that slide number 3, Doug, remember, all I saw was the sale of old home place on Black Creek, but look on the right-hand side. It says, probate fee, L.S. Gray, there it is, executor fee. He took an executor fee, $242.92. It was a lot. It was a lot. So anyway, so when Doug and I go to the Register of Deeds, we said, well, we think it's going to be up underneath L.S. Gray. So she says, there are 2 words you have to know. You have to know the word grantor and grantee. The grantor is the one who is selling the land, and the grantee is the one who is buying the land. And those are all those big books. They're huge books. So, and there they are. So she pulls them out. She says, what year is it? I said, well, we have happened, according to this, he died in 1933, that gave his time range, so if you don't know when it was sold, and you kind of are looking for it, you got a big range to look for. And it says the name, the book under, so we looked. So sure enough, we looked up on his LSA, Campbell. And we looked up under Campbell by his name, and you can see it says Campbell at the very top of that page. And that D-O, that's just kind of like, this is not writing the name over and over again. So, and then the second column says, who's selling it is D-A by executive. And then over to the right is the grantee. It says J.E. Poe, my brain is. And A.L. means that he had somebody else buying it with. So there we go. We got our credit. Yeah, that's what he did. Oh, yeah, he bought it with J.F. and Class. Oh, yeah, he was in the pit. Yeah, J.F. and Class, John Frank Class. So, we didn't know about Class from there. So from there, it gives us more page numbers. And if you look at that line that Doug has highlighted, it says that the D.A. Campbell by executor was bought, the grantee was J.E. Poe, A.L., that means there's somebody with him. And it's right there, it's on it's in book 81, page 90. Okay, and this says the date it was recorded. Now, this is a mistake right here. It said it was recorded, if you look at this, 8/31/34. And then over, it says the day it was filed was 8/24/34 at 5 p.m. And you'll go over and you'll see the 200 acres. Okay, well, you can't have it recorded before you have it filed. So when we actually went to the actual, deed itself, it was 8/21. It was just a typo. So what we had to do then is we knew when it was sold. Now we know what book to go to. So we went to book 81.
We got all these books, going back to the Civil War, the Byrne book and everything from 1862, 1865, and so we gotta find book 81, right?
81, so we went to 81, and there it is, 81. Now, when you look at that, you go, oh my word. You can write cursive, but can you read cursive? No, it's wrong. So anyway, so we found it, and it looks about that size in real life. Now, in a little bit, Doug's going to show you how to do this online, and I will say the one thing about online is that you can magnify. So what I did when I got home, I printed it out, and I read every single word of it, okay? Okay, because I wanted to know, where is this from? So what it showed me, it has the description on that deed. But what we were looking for, we were looking for a plat number. Okay, so the description, Doug highlighted some, it mentions Summerlin Branch, it mentions the Martin line, it mentions the James McLaughlin line, and it talks about Malcolm McNair, Arch McFarland, and it says Black Creek. And then there's some more Campbell, T.C. Campbell, Douglas Land, Walter Branch, W.L. McNair. Okay. Now, that goes, well, how am I going to find all that? Well, fortunately, in this deed, they'll describe it, and then it refers to another book where this land had been purchased. So the other book that it referred to, I went to, it says book 3. Sarah had never gone and opened one from book 3. Book 3 is like 1860. So you know where Byrne came. And so you have the description of what it was. And you can, I also went home and I printed it out, So it looks similar, but you can tell that there's different lines. From the Archibald, McFarland to D.A. King. Okay. So I was like, okay. I said, but Sarah, I want to know where is this land? So we had to go forward. So we knew the audit, J.E. Poe. So we looked, and there's a timeline, and we found out who J.E. Poe sold it. Now, J.E. Poe, it was him and John Franklin Clark. They sold it in 1937 to the United States government. So can you figure out where you think that land might be?
Not state forest, but federal forest.
That's how you read it. That's what I was it's on the rescue. So, but you're on the right track. So if you go down 145, for those of you around here, from 145 to MACD, you will hit Campbell Thompson. I think, oh, it's gotta be there now, it's gotta be there. So I write down everything I can, I'm looking at these names, and here's the beauty of that. J.E. Poe and Klaus sold this land in 1937 to the United States government. And y'all, when y'all get that, when you see that deed, it has line after line after line, and I'm looking for the description. And it has minutes on there. It looks like this. I don't think it's on our handout. It has minutes on there, and I'm going, oh my word. It has the same description as when Gray sold it back in 1934. But it gives me this wonderful thing. After the end of all that stuff, it says, the point as shown by map made by General Land Office, Sand Hill Agriculture Demonstration Project, McBee, South Carolina, and being the identical tract of land by L.S. Graves as executor. Here's a map. Somebody's got a map. Somebody did all these points. So, what we did for us, my husband, we said, we need to go to the headquarters over there. So we went over to the refuge, and we went to the headquarters office. You go in there, you say, okay, looking for this land. Lynn Atkins worked there. She's been working there. Well, she's been working in her job about, she's been there 20 years, right? She's a director. I know exactly what you're talking about. She has all those records. She goes back to her, wherever they keep it, and it had all been digitized. And she says, she's track 87, and she pulled it right up. And so, here is where that property is. So this is the map. The map on the left is an old map. I had to take a picture of it. And if you look at it, it'll have the different track numbers. I said, are these in order? She said, no. She said, they're not in order. It's just in the order they were bought. So that's why you can see where it's magnified. 87 has 428. 43, 20, 26. It was in the order that they were bought. Now, I was thinking 145 because in that description I had heard bridge, and all these names. But that's not how you get to that property. She looked at it and she said, I know how to get to it. It's real easy. It's Route 1. Now, those don't show you the next picture. The next picture is what the cover of it. So that's you know how okay. All right, so this is what it looks like. This is you can see they put J.F. McLeod and J.E. Poe. They called it their track. And when we were looking at it, we said, when was this thing surveyed? There's got to be a survey number. Okay, so remember, it was sold in 1934 by the executor. Sold in 1934. And I will tell you this other thing, and so when you start looking for this, in the description of the deed, L.S. Graves he has advertised, this was put up for auction, this land was. I went trying to find if I could find, a newspaper that had that online. Chronicling America for our area will only go up to 1920 something, so it wasn't in there. That doesn't mean I can't find it, I just didn't do any legwork. Okay, this land was surveyed in 1935. Okay, so, do we have the actual, map on there yet of the land where they pointed out, plotted it out? Okay, all right, so.
Just that one where we had it,
Oh, so we just have an
just this one.
Okay, all
So
right.
for the upper right-hand corner of the
It
red,
is,
right?
it's upper right hand corner. So what Lynn did is she printed all this papers out for me. And, what the actual map looked like. And y'all can't see online that the government survey with all those points and minutes that were recorded in the deed. And the cool thing about this, it has all these people's names beside on that board. So how do you get to that place? So the difference got to the place for that. You have to drive through Route 1 on the other side, and it's on Angeles Road. It's parallel to 145. Now, for those of you who don't know this, think about going to the Carolina Steakhouse on number 9 and turning left. We're going down Angeles Road. If you kind of get near Carolina Steakhouse.
No, you can't.
So you take a left at Carolina. Well, you take the Carolina Steakhouse and start looking to your left to get close to Angeles Road, and you go down that road, and you'll come.
6 miles.
Yeah, you'll come to a crossroad, and you'll go just a little piece, and there's the bridge that was always mentioned, and it's Big Black Creek. And there's Carolina Sand Hill Route 1. And what they do with these roads on the road is they just give them numbers. They give the bodies of water, letters, roads, numbers. And this is a pretty good, a road. So, Russ and I went yesterday. This is what we did. We've been working on this a week. So we went yesterday, he parked the truck, and we went for a walk, because the acreage that was sold, that's the Daniel Campbell tract, is 687 acres. And so I wanted to find, as Susan, you asked if we wanted to find evidence of a home place. Yeah, I know I wanted to find that too. So anyway, and I just wanted to get the Big Black Creek. I wanted to start it this morning, and I wanted to go, what is that other line? 687, and I want to go to Big Black Creek. Well, that's what Big Black Creek looks at the road. It doesn't look like that was the blue ball. But anyway, so we start walking it, and we park. And the road on the left, you'll have to help me with that. That's that first big track. When you go in there, you will see what looks like natural driveways or natural roads. And so that's where we parked. We knew kind of where the boundary was from Lynn's map, and I'll show you that in just a minute. It's not on our PowerPoint. That the government used. Some of it they let grow up. So we started walking it, and if you get, when you do this, if you decide to do this, there's this really cool app called Avenza, and the Carolina Refuge happens to have a map you can put on Avenza, so we could walk through the walking history in case you get lost. And then we started walking, and we were looking for a couple of things. We were looking for, I always look for andina bushes, because that's what houses are, in this area. Probably, what? Dandelion, holly trees, and look, actually, that looks like that would be a good house. So we walked over there, and on the right-hand side, it doesn't look like much, but that big tall stick is really a cedar post. Now, for those of you who live out in the country where we live, if you find a cedar post with old wire on it, they usually do find something. Okay, so this is a huge cedar post, and it doesn't show up, but that thing was full of nails, wasn't it? It was full of nails, and it would look like, and we're not showing you the other picture, but the direct line of it was a sort of post. So it looks like there was a pin, probably a hog pin, not really sure, some type of pin. We didn't see any wire there, so, so Russ said, well, you know, the house would have been in front of it. So now we're looking for a place where they would have thrown trash. They would have had an outhouse. So we're looking, so sure enough, there we go. We find a bottle. Now on the, oh, no, we all do it. Yeah, no, we didn't keep the bottle. One thing that the rescue people do is if you find an artifact, now there was one we should have picked up that was trash, but I didn't have a place for that with you, but, that's an artifact. And they just leave it where it is. That's what they do. So we left it, we just took a picture of it. It's a metal bottle and, not a metal bottle. The last bottle was a metal top and the metal had, rusted away. So, y'all know what that should have held, we couldn't tell anything. And then the next thing we found, not too far from that, was a piece of pottery. So we found out a lot where we live, we live out in look at that. But on the right hand side was the neck of an old, milk bottle. Milk glass bottle, don't know what was in it. So those are just a few things we found. We only spent about 3 hours out there. We really didn't have time. We were in time on it. So there's a lot more to explore. We never did find a chimney. That's what we're looking for. But there's other things to find. So where was my great granddaddy's home place? It was out there off Angeles Road, which is now part of the wreck. And so now I know where my great granddaddy grew up. And it's all because of all these records that's in the courthouse that Doug is fixing to tell you how you can find online. Except the Carolina Sandfield Road, people tore it down. They could have, I don't know, or it could have just fallen down. When we first went there, Lynn, when she first looked at it, she thought it was a different track, and she said, so-and-so had been out, because they're fixing to burn now, which is about the time of year, and, there was evidence, one guy had a thing of a chimney, and he said there's an open well somewhere out there, and then she got to looking at it, she said, no, that's not what it is, and, she said, scratch that, it doesn't have the open well, so I know, but it's just good, they don't, what they had that track set for, it's just for wildlife, it's not so neat. And what's growing out there is what we call scrubby oaks and longleaf pine and pine, ball.
Yes, scrub oak and pine, because you see a pecan tree, an oak tree, whatever, most likely that was a home place, right? Have you ever been through the sand hills, that refuge area?
You see what?
A pecan tree, an oak tree, it gives you a pretty good clue. Back in the day, somebody lived there. Back in the day. A lot of times, if you get to Amy's point, you may not find a foundation or a chimney or anything, but that's a darn good clue that is back, way back.
My plan, but.
Yep, there's some of this land the government bought, some people, that's what I read online, they actually use eminent domain. Certainly, the estate people, but
yeah,
they were gonna make sure we got all that land.
I will say, in looking at all this, you find, because I did the whole DNA and everything, if y'all did that, my granny had told me it was, Scotch Irish, and there's a lot more Scottish. I was, of course, as well, but I was a little bit surprised, but after hearing those names, you got McNair, McLaughlin, what was the other one? McFarland.
Douglas, I think that's the Scotch name.
Douglas, and Campbell, so that tells you a lot about that. I was also curious, and I looked this up, I did find this, the executor, because, in the will it says he's my good friend, L.S. Gray. So I looked him up, and he advertised, he's a hog farmer, he sells hogs. So, well, I wondered why he was not a family. Yeah, well, I'll tell you that was, yeah. And there were a lot of kids, because in this, and my mama didn't know this, Daniel Campbell was married twice. So his first wife was a McCaskill. And she's buried down there, she died young. And the second wife was a Smith from Ruby. And so my granddaddy is from the second set of Kennedy. So there's a lot. And so, yeah. So anyway, I guess, you know, the critiques and all kinds of stuff, they just,
Well, if you continue on down 109 from Nashville Road, you get to 145, that's always been on the Campbell Track.
that's right. And see that, but there's a little section, that's where I thought it was Campbell Crossroads. But it's parallel to Campbell Crossroads, it's just you don't have to go over there to Angeles, it's like there is. But some of Daniel Campbell's sons are buried on 109, there's two churches, one's Clanton Plains, one's Bethel, one's buried at one, one's buried at the other one, so. They're all in there, it's just.
And then right before you get Black Creek on Nashville Road, off on the hill there, it's in that mayor cemetery.
And I'm gonna investigate
Wow.
that
You
too.
know,
I haven't yet, and McNair, and that's another thing, when they come in, they'll always have a friend or two friends to come and witness these things. That's why it's really good to read, and it's hard to really read these things, because you can find family members, like, Daniel's daddy, Alexander Campbell, he witnessed the deed. That McFarland man, he promoted his march. And you have somebody witness that, so you learn who these people associate with, and Doug's wife, cause her mom from that area, Angeles, White Oak area, she said there was a McNair, that it was her mom that told her about, it was in the turpentine business, that goes the wrong way. So you find out there's hog farmers, turpentine, what's going on around here, so
It is, wasn't there a turpentine mill or factory, what you gonna call it? In near Anderson and Jefferson, way back. That's what somebody told me.
What was grandma's name?
my grandma's name,
Her married man was Sam, right? He's from her maternal.
okay, so my granny is a Campbell, she married the Evans.
Mother's mother.
My mother's mother, this is all my mama's stuff.
Okay.
So my mama's mama is a Campbell, my mama was an Evans. Now, go into all this, so you got, cause I always wonder how these people travel and got along, that's kind of always. So you got the Campbells, and he married a Johnson, now, but the Johnsons, my granny's mama, her maiden name was a Johnson, but she's all in with the Sellers, so you got Sellers, Campbells, and you just have these families kind of mixed in together. It's an interesting story how all that is, but, so the Campbell is in that 18, what was that?
1825,
1825.
yep,
So
yep.
those Campbells were part of my
So
family.
Emma Campbell was from Maine.
Name, yeah, my granny.
Very big.
That's fun.
So if you go to the, if you're able to go to the deeds, office, again, they're very helpful. They really helped us on this project. They do have a sign that says they can give out legal advice, and they cannot help on genealogy, searches. They will. They'll get you started. They'll get you in the right direction. If everybody's going to get, tied up all day hunting things down, but they'll get you in the right, they'll put you in the right path. They're just really nice folks, really helpful folks.
Damn,
Um,
interesting. That's so interesting.
well, that's one reason we did this. When I looked up land deeds and records and stuff, as far as genealogy, it says it's underutilized. So hopefully, some people some old hat, they go online, you find the records. Some people didn't realize you can find all this information. She found her old home place just by the land records. That's just great. Not necessarily South Carolina, not necessarily Chesterfield County, but there's other places to find land records and deeds. One of them is Family Search. I don't know how many people know Family Search, but it is fantastic. It's great to find a lot of stuff that you will not find on Ancestry or MyHeritage. If you look under full text, South Carolina deeds, and Martha verified that the reason I couldn't find it because they're not on there. As far as deeds, there's probate, there's wills, there's some court records. There's no South Carolina deeds. There are North Carolina, it's other states that are on there. And I helped a family, back in, autumn, finding their old home place, in Randolph County.
Wow.
Yep, it's, they kept a sliver of land, the family did, and donated the rest to the URI
Is that
National
done
Park.
already? Okay.
Yep, so I helped find, and they were still having, they just found the old home place, their fourth great grandfather, Luther, last name is Luther. So again, if Julius, and people who live out of state want to find North Carolina records, family search is up. Now, if you go to the, particular county, now I'm going to show you, Chesterfield County, the other counties, the page may be a little bit different, the prompts may be somewhat different, the terminology should be the same. But Chesterfield County isn't unique as far as having these records online, it's just a different page setup. But if you go to, Randolph County or some other counties around, you can check around and navigate and find these same sort of records. It's not unique to Chesterfield County.
But, I want to say that South Carolina, on full text search, on family search, those flats back when George was in charge, King George, they are on,
Oh, wow, wow.
cause, I was searching last night for, I put in, Westfield Creek, which is where the Lees live, and, I had 7 pages of Westfield Creek. And Westfield Creek is, right close to the county line up on Hensley Hill. But most of them were like, I don't even know those people. It was like when King George gave them the land, or King George, I mean, it was a lot of grant. Yeah, it wasn't deeds, it was grants. Boy.
And the other thing about family search, they have a really, really good, handwriting, cursive handwriting translation. It's called OCR software. It's really, really good. If you can't read the cursive or they can't make it out, they do it pretty, and I don't know if everybody's OCR programs are the same. To me, Google is hard. They miss a lot of words and it's all sketchy. Same for OneNote. Family Search, I think, has a really good OCR, software to translate all the words. They miss some, of course, the handwriting. But, if you look at any kind of records, check out Family Search, full text. I call it full text.
Yeah.
Full text.
Now,
Now,
then
then
there's
again,
that search button where you see, if you see that search button up there at the top.
yeah, hit search, there'll be a drop down and just pick, choose full text. It'll come up. Yeah, they do, again, they offer different stuff in Ancestry, different data sets, record sets, which is pretty good. So if you Google, just put in Google, Archive Viewer, Chesterfield County, South Carolina, not Virginia, South Carolina, this page will come up. It has all these instructions that tell you how to navigate these pages, how to bring up records. I read all this, I couldn't understand it. Of course, my wife says I can't follow directions, and she's probably right. So I called the deed office again, and they walked me through it. But this is the first page that you will see as far as retrieving deeds and land records. And once you
I'm sorry.
get to this page,
Real quick, if you
Pardon?
go to South Carolina, if you go to South Carolina's, or if you go to Chesterfield, South Carolina, SC.com, and you go into the department section and select deeds, the register of deeds, they have the link for that on that page as well.
okay,
I don't think you understand.
well, thank you.
Great.
Yeah. We got 2 minutes. So what I did was start populating some of this information. I'm looking up a Jordan who died in 1899, so I'm going to look in the 1862 to 1927 index from age decay, JK. So first, again, I put in grantee. What did my great-great-great-grandfather purchase? And again, I go 1862 to 1927, HK index. I make sure it's a 1 over here in this index page, and I hit view key chart. And this page will come up. This page will appear. So there's the Jordans. There's a lot of Jordans in the county, a lot, probably 2 or 3 sets at least back in the day. So all the Jordan records are on page 133. Find out the next step as far as finding the book and the page. So Jordan's on page 133. So I type in, my fingers are frozen. So I type in page 133. Now I hit that top button, And here's records for all the Jordans. And there's my great-great-great-granddaddy, Nelson Turner Jordan. He bought land from Hardy Davidson back in 75, 187 acres. Nelson Jordan and his son, Joseph Barry Jordan, nicknamed Doc, from Mr. Coppage, actually Mr. and Mrs. Coppage, bought 707 acres. I had no idea he had over 900 acres. All this is back behind, on 265, Crossroads Church, across Little Creek, Little Black Creek, up behind Fairview Church. So there's 2 records of Nelson Turner and his son, Doc Joseph B. Doc Jordan. So let's look at one of these records. Again, it's going to be so small you can't read it, but just to give you an idea. So this record is in Book 5, page 383. So up here on this top part, leave it at D, put in Volume 5, Book 5, page 383, and hit View. And there is the deed. There's the deed. And there's several, I won't go through all of them. There's several Nelson Turner and Joseph Barry Jordan transactions. And some of the things I learned, there's several transactions with his son, Joseph Barry. What I didn't find, Andy, was his other son, who happened to be my great-great-grandfather, who had my great-grandmother out of wedlock. So apparently, my great-grandfather was a black sheep of the family. He didn't get any land. He wasn't involved. He got married and moved to Darlington County. And I don't see him anywhere on these records. And Julia, there's some transactions between Doc and George James Sullivan. So they bought land together. They sold land together. So they were tight. Doc was tight. My great-grandfather was ostracized, I guess. But some of the things I learned on these records, again, my great-great-grandfather was shipped out to Darlington County. He married and had kids. I tracked some of them down as the part of their ancestors and their descendants. Didn't know he had 900 acres. He had a sawmill and a grist mill on a pond. And my other cousin took me to the old home site. And again, as far as my genealogy journey, nothing tops visiting the old home sites. It's far and away the best thing as far as the best experience with genealogy for me. But the sawmill, the grist mill, it's on Rhymes Mill Pond. It's labeled Rhymes Mill Pond now. But Doc was killed by his cousin in 1891, arguing over the payment of an ox.
What was his first name, Doc?
Joseph Barry Doc Jordan. Yeah. Born in 1850 something and died in 1891.
I thought he was killed by his brother-in-law.
Pardon?
I thought his brother-in-law was killed. But they married his sister.
He was a Miles, so he's a cousin. Because Nelson Jordan, his wife was a Miles. So it was his cousin too. Might have been both, but it was his cousin for sure. But And the back, again, once you read all this, and also Nelson Jordan had land foreclosed later. His son died, was murdered. Family lore was that Nelson came back from the war with one leg. So maybe he couldn't keep up the farm, couldn't get everything done, and he lost some of his land. But the punchline is, I would not have known any of this, as far as family relations, as far as the land they had, as far as the sawmill, the grist mill, or my great grandfather being shipped off to Darlington County, unless I looked at deeds and land records. I look at people's family trees, I see all these photos and pictures and portraits, and I'm so envious because I don't have hardly any of my family back then. So anything that helps me sort of fill in the blanks and how they lived and what they did, it sort of just fills out the picture as far as how the family aspect of family relations.
Came back from what war?
Civil War. He was luckily he was stationed in Charleston. He guarded Charleston, but when Germany came through, somehow he was in Chirac. He was shipped to a prison in it was in Maryland.
Lookout.
Might have been. And he came back and everything, of course, but
Well, have you tried Darlington County, because they're, that Dandy man, so helpful, you know, since all our records were burned here, and your great, whatever, grandfather, great, was, in Darlington County, he may can help you find some things like she had.
He's in the hospital left now.
Oh, no, he's fabulous, and he can find a lot of Chesterfield County things, that got burned. I forgot what he told me, but upstairs, they have lots of records.
He was, starting to go blind, but, he already was blind with the dry eye. But, they had to put him in the hospital.
Or,
I assume McLeod was Florence.
oh, I forgot to mention this. This website is free. This is free. You don't have to sign in, create an account or anything. Just begin Google Archive Viewer Chesterfield County. This covers records free through 1996. If you want something more recent, you gotta find a record more recent, go to South Carolina Land Records.
Yeah.
Type in Chesterfield County, or toggle down to Chesterfield County. And I'm not gonna give you all the screens on this, but if you go to Chesterfield County, it'll prompt you to one page, it'll take you to another page. This, they charge for this. It's $5 a day. It says pay via PayPal, but they will take credit cards. But if you want to be on there 4 days, you gotta give them $20 worth of funds.
and which one's
The
The whole record, or you type in, click on that, and this will come up. And your first thing, well, mine was to click on our county, and I was like, oh, that's not working, and I see you had the top down, when you click on whatever county, and then this will come up, and they'll tell you how to do it. But the key thing is, they'll go back to that, how to find the index. This is the key. Get those numbers, and then it's step by step.
And you can save these pages, you can save the records, you can PDF them, you can print them. Again, you can maybe copy them, save them, and take them to, there's all kinds of OCR programs on the internet. You can paste this into an OCR software, and it'll change it into text. But the very last page, again, where you have to pay $5 a day, it's easy to navigate, just put in the name, all kind of records will flow down.
when you get to South Carolina Land Records, that's when it's $5 a day.
Yes,
But don't you think, from what you said and what Amy said, it sounds like to me that his ancestors and your ancestors sold his house and his lost his grist mill about the time of the mill, about the depression, about the time of the depression. There was a lot of people that had property, had wealth, and had
meaning exactly they lost it all. If they didn't lose it during the Civil War, they lost it during the Depression.
And,
History. It's just-
okay,
Sure, that.
okay, so it comes at registered deeds.
Another thing I would say that every county you go to does theirs a little different, and you have to figure out how they do it.
Right, right.
You know, I
The budget a little bit
Yeah.
placed differently, but it's the same principle, same process, same terminology, usually. Any other questions? We're running a little bit late. Any other questions?
Can I ask Amy if she found out any information about houses that might have been moved from those plots of lands that were sold to the federal folks? Because I'm also a Campbell, and I know that my mother used to drive me into the old home site as we visited Campbell Cemetery. It was on the opposite side of the street. But then someone told me that there were homes that were actually relocated. They moved the homes when they sold.
Ooh, I haven't found that out, but, there is someone that lives at County Crossroads that, my husband must know, and I'm going to try to see if he knows more. And I think he would know more, because I think there's a whole section of land or something that's not part of the refuge. So, I will try to find out more about that. I haven't found anything about a house yet, but they have to be there, or you would hope they would be there. And I should have taken a metal detector. If I go out there again, I think I'll find it more.
Thank you, Amy.
Well, that would be neat if somebody did, because my grandfather had to do it. He didn't believe that he tearing down or structure. Actually, he bought those structures. Like, he bought it as.
Sure now, sure.
I mean, he wouldn't
Right.
tear that house down.
Well,
You know,
and there was
Well,
another.
well, your website search, you could actually go to a sign sheet.
Yeah, that was the house, had the last.
Ellen and Amy,
My house, yeah.
Amy,
Happy to
I
know.
have two books dealing with the forfeiture of land records, dealing with the National Forest, sitting in my office that have got names going back probably 60, 70 years when the federal government first started coming in and taking over that land.
Oh, can you say that again?
So I've got indexes created for those books. Those are some of those things that I just haven't had time to put up because we don't want to necessarily give everything up to non-members, but at the same time, I've got that information available.
Is that Richard Holker?
Yeah,
Yes.
You got, so you got records of land from 67 years ago, is that what you're saying, Richard?
Yes, they're the forfeiture records for the properties that were taken over by the National or the Forest Service.
Oh, okay. Where could we, do you have it at your office?
If you give me a call tomorrow, I should be in the office tomorrow. If you give me a call in the office tomorrow, I can tell you more about it.
Okay, thank you.
Just call the main number and have them transfer you to me.
Okay.
Doug used to ask for comments. I would think that in fact, your great grandfather had the sawmill, the grist mill. It sounds like he did well for himself.
Well,
And he
again,
went over 1,000 acres, so that was quite
Well,
his.
but when his son died in 1891, again, all I know is my great grandmother ended up a sharecropper. I think some of the land stayed with, his other son's family for years, but, my grandmother, great grandmother was born out of wedlock. She was poor.
But you know where, with Ryan's Mill Pond, you know where the land was? You know where he was buried in there?
Oh, they're very at the crossroads, they have markers. And again, my cousin, A.D. Jordan, came up one weekend, and he took me all through the family land. And it was, again, it's a highlight. It was just terrific to go through and walk the steps, the footsteps where my people, in the mid 1850s. It's terrific. Crossroads Baptist Church. Right below it on the Jefferson side is a crossroads. On Woodard Lane, on the Woodard Lane, putting in the road, the pond's still there, the house is still there. Figure, I use it as a background, on this, first slide. It's falling in, but there's the old home place. So I was lucky my cousin knew where it is, but again, and I copied Julia, my other Jordan cousin, and AJ gave them some facts and figures, so, there's some things that maybe they didn't know, so we swapping, Jordan information.
What is over there that offered,
At the Campbell Cemetery?
okay,
No, Daniel is not buried with his first wife. He is buried in, it's called the Hancock Fellows Cemetery. You have to trek through the woods across from the Ruby Fire Department. And that's where he's buried along with the son and his father-in-law, or the second wife, and his second wife. Carolyn, you were asking about that. Susan's sitting here beside me, and you were told that the houses were moved. Susan's granddad was J.E. Poe, who bought that land, and she says that her granddad did not believe in.
he didn't believe in tearing down structures, he was, preservation, that he loved to preserve them. Cause he bought the old cash house out in cash, and, he would never have torn it down.
So you wonder if, because she was told, that's what the message was, that some of those houses
Well,
might
yeah.
have been moved.
Yeah,
Yeah, so you could.
I could ask my mother.
Yeah, you know, it's nice stuff. I want to remember everything.
She remembers things from the past. I'll ask her.
Thank you. That would be so wonderful to find one of those homes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all. That's all.
Excuse me, say it again.
It would just be wonderful to find one of those homes, especially if it was my great grandparents. I would love that.
Oh, yeah.
And who was your great grandfather?
My great grandfather was William Jack and Queen Victoria. My mom used to take me there to the Campbell Cemetery and show me the graves. And I think when I did research back, I keep it on my phone so I'll remember, but I think James C. was brother to Daniel A.
You're right. We had one named James C. Yep.
That was mine up on the list. Great, 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 great something, I think.
Yeah. You're right.
Are we?
Anything else?
Fascinating.
Thanks for joining us. Have a